Is popping off in the world of hip-hop, man. The whole world has been patiently waiting to see what was going on with DMX. So if you missed it over the course of the weekend, DMX had a drug overdose on Friday, which triggered a heart attack, which put him in the hospital. Now, what I've been told, his brain was out without oxygen for about 30 minutes or so. And, for anybody who knows what happens when your brain go without oxygen, your brain don't quite work the same after that. Also, people from the inside have told me that, DMX has been battling COVID as well, or had COVID at some point, which has compromised his organs. And, way COVID work, it messes with your lungs, it messes with your heart, messes with other things. It's almost like when people get pneumonia, how everything just starts shutting down. So, there has been reports that were saying he was breathing on his own without the life support machine, and that was kind of like premature. Like the lawyer put that out over the course of the weekend, and that wasn't the case. But, DMX was like the people's champion. He is the people's champion. He's one of those guys, we look at because he's so public with his struggles that, we want him to win. And I remember, recently he was very vulnerable on an interview with the People's Party where he was talking about the first time he got introduced to drugs.
I remember I'm 14 years old. And me and my man went to a robbery one night. So he came back with a blunt rolled up. And as I'm counting the money, he lights the blunt. And I said I was impressed. And he passed the blunt around. And, wow. I hit the blood, and I'm like, I was no longer focused on the money. I never felt like this. Like it just off me up. I'm like, oh, fuck. And I later found out that he laced the blood with crack.
You know what I'm saying? And that kind of is like what sent the dog on his spiral of doing, harder things than just smoking weed. And, he'd have those times where he was doing well. He'd have those times where he'd fall off a little bit, but he always tried to get right back to it. You know what I mean? And, give the people hope. What was, the first, major DMX moment that y'all experienced?
I'd have to take it back to his very first album, the very first album, Rough Riders, him in the leather vest. I mean, that first album, I believe I was in probably middle school. So it was a little hard for my age, but man, you just could feel, you could just feel his passion, his spirit, and his fight, and I think it made you want to fight. It made you want to go out there, but he was such a flawed person. So it's kind of like he was flawed, but he wore those flaws and said, yeah, this is who I am. And you watched him struggle and battle with himself. I remember how he had a song where he was fighting himself, like Damien. There was Damien and then there's DMX. And
it's different when you say a prayer on the album and you know word for word the prayer.
I
used to DMX posters all over my wall. He was definitely one of my favorite rappers, and we just want him to get better and try to just make it out of this situation some way, somehow. We praying.
Yo, if anybody could pull off the impossible, you know what I'm saying? It's DMX. Because we've watched him go through rougher things, stints with incarceration. He's been in the hospital before, and, we just really need to get behind him and get his brother's flowers while he's here. And we're going to give y'all the opportunity to be able to do that later on this morning, so be sure you tap in for that. Moving on to some more upbeat news. Big shout out to Nicki Minaj, all right? Her record, Anaconda, that she came out with a few years ago, has now reached 1 billion views on YouTube. And she's the first female rapper to reach this feat with a solo record on the platform. So this ain't, without no features. Some people would go and say, well, technically, Sir Mix-a-Lot's on the song because blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day,
man, no.
Oh, wow. Come on now.
They can't let people be great. But, you know what I'm saying? But, shout out to Nicki Minaj for making that happen. And big shout out to the movie King Kong vs. Godzilla. It has pulled the box office out of its slump, and it made a gang of money over the course of the weekend because everybody's been streaming stuff at home. And, King Kong vs. Godzilla made $11.6 million over the course of the weekend. That's what it takes to be number one in 2021. The struggle's real, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, that's it for me. If there's other stories I'm following, you know where the business is, man. Follow me on Spotify, also on Instagram, HEADKRACK.
We are the Morning Hustle.